Welcome everyone to another edition of Helping Hands. Today we're very happy that we have a guest with us. Pancho, you've come in to visit with us, Pancho Timmons. And Pancho, I'd like you to explain to everybody just a little bit about who you are and what you do and what message you'd like to share.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I have a nonprofit company called Pennsylvania Youth Initiative, and our goal is to help transition-aged youth, high school-aged kids, enter out in the world more prepared for competitive employment and life in general. So I got into this way back, and I'll rewind to my freshman year of college, and it's still to this day, it's hard to say it, but I flunked out my freshman year. And it's my last week of class, and I'm turning in my final college writing paper just knowing that I'm going to go home and live on my parents' couch, and that's kind of it, right? So, and I knew I'm bombed, I'm bombing out, but despite my best efforts, despite going to class and studying and doing everything I could do, it just didn't work out. Mm-hmm. So I hand my professor my paper, and he says, hey, Pancho, we need to talk. And I tell him, no, we don't. I get it. This isn't for me. I'm gonna go home. I'm done. And he said, not so fast. He said, you're an A and B student turning in D work because you are obviously dyslexic and not getting the support that you need to be successful in college. And 5-minute conversation, he talked me into coming back to school. I had to go home and talk to my parents into letting me come back, but that's a whole other story. and that 5-minute conversation was a difference in me flunking out of college and going on to get a couple of master's degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, and I tell this story for a couple of reasons. I tell it to quote-unquote grown-ups to remind everybody that the interactions that we have with each other, they matter. Yeah. Every one of them, all the time. Some words of encouragement or words of wisdom that you give someone throughout the course of your day could literally change their entire life. Yeah. You never know how that's going to impact people. So all our interactions with each other matter, all of them, every day. It's so important. You never know the impact that you're going to have on someone's life just by having
a brief
some
encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a major life change that neither you or your professor had probably anticipated, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's interesting how that reverberates. And so I tell this story to young people to remind them, there's a couple skills I didn't have as a young person. I didn't have the confidence to be able to ask for what I needed and articulate that message. I didn't have the advocacy skills to really even know what I should be asking for and why I should be asking for it. And I certainly didn't have the employability skills that I needed at that point in time to move my life forward. And really, that's what I want to do for young people with Pennsylvania Youth Initiative. I want to give them those three things. And send them out into the world maybe a little bit more prepared than I was, so they don't have to have that moment.
Well, how did all this, back up after you started into your career, where did you start, what did you do, and then how did it evolve into your ultimate pursuit, let's say?
Yeah, I had a really great run for about 13 years at the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. I was a supervisor for about half of that time. Okay. Great agency. I did great work there. They still do great work today, but it's a big bureaucracy and it's hard to do really big, innovative programming. It's hard to cut through the red tape to do things that are different and more innovative. And I felt like at the time, programming for youth with disabilities needed to be different. It needed to change. It needed to be more interactive. It needed to have more employer involvement. So I felt like I could just do more good if I took this out on my own. It was the time to go try to do things bigger, better, and be more innovative about it. And I kind of compare us to like the SpaceX of what we do. Okay. There's nobody really doing it quite the way we're doing it right now. And I unfortunately I just wouldn't have been able to do that the way I wanted to and with my previous employer. Again, great agency. I just needed to move forward to do bigger and better things.
Okay. So then what did you do? You break away and...
Yeah. A startup nonprofit is a terrible idea. You're not even supposed to do it. You're supposed to get latch on to a bigger established nonprofit and do what they call a fiscal sponsorship. I knew nothing about that, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't have done it that way anyway because I just wanted to do it myself. So I started to network constantly. and build what I call my community of connectivity. And you can't just walk into a networking event and be like, hey, I'm trying to start a nonprofit. Will you give me money?
Right.
It's not going to work. So I started walking into these big networking events and thinking of, well, how can I help everyone in here? How can I walk into this event, just be of value to this room and help these people connect and help them do the things they need, and I'll worry about me later.
I see.
And by doing that, I was then able to establish a lot of really great relationships and partnerships and start to leverage those into getting the things I needed to get my nonprofit moving.
Okay.
And I truly believe if you do good things will happen. And the fact that I was able to start a nonprofit just by doing good things is living proof of that.
Okay.
Like, if you go out into the world and do good stuff will happen. And I carry that belief. If you want a good neighborhood, make your neighborhood a good neighborhood. Get out and do good things in your neighborhood. If you want work to be a better place, go out and do good things at your job and make it better. The world can be better by one person going out there and making it better and doing good things. And I truly believe that comes full circle. And that's kind of how I started the whole nonprofit. And now we are doing programming for anywhere from 50 to 100 kids per session.
Really?
Ideally, yeah. We are moving towards. We have an event at the David Lawrence Convention Center, March 6th, 2020, and they're asking 750 to 1,000 kids for that event.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's in collaboration with Representative Dan Miller from Mount Lebanon and his Disability and Mental Health Summit.
Is that right?
It's the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 2020. So we're going to go to the convention center and have a big, huge celebration of that. And I will be teaching kids some advocacy skills and some networking skills, and even giving them some time with PA legislators to be able to articulate an advocacy message to them.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's one of our. I love the program. It's we've been doing it for a couple years. This year was 2 days, 200 kids, and next year it'll be that 750 to the sky's the limit type of thing.
50 kids sounds like a lot to me, so that's a lot.
We just did our other program is when you say 50 kids, it can be a lot. We do what we call a reverse job fair. And we just did this in Plum High School. It was Plum, Riverview, and Penn Hills. And we were in their gym. And my voice does not carry well, and I just have the worst luck with microphones, and we couldn't get a working mic, so I was like, I had to yell in this gym at the top of my lungs all day. So 50 kids seem like a ton just because of the venue, but all in all, still a really good day.
When did you start the nonprofit? How many years ago was that?
It'll be 2 years in August.
2 years.
And
you've come a long way in 2 years with that.
We're literally doubling in size just with spring programming.
So the demand's out there. The people are looking for help, and they're not able to find places to get help, or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big demand for workforce development training for high school aged students with disabilities.
Okay.
The other thing that just irks me every day is the unemployment rates for people with disabilities are literally double what they are for the rest of the population, and it's been that way for decades.
Yeah.
And I think if we start solving that problem with young people, we can start really solving the problem. So yeah, schools are absolutely on board. We provide a lot of things that they're just not able to provide with the type of training that we do. The networking skills, the advocacy skills, those type of job placement soft skills that kids need. They can't always do all of that.
How do people find out about you now? And for people listening on the radio, can you share with people how they can contact you?
Sure. Yeah, our website is payouthinitiative.com. We are also on Facebook at Pennsylvania Youth Initiative. Those are the two biggest ways to find us. I also do a lot on LinkedIn. You can always get a hold of me, Pancho Timmons, on LinkedIn. That's kind of my umbrella for both of my companies. I have a for-profit and a nonprofit.
Okay.
That kind of, the for-profit kind of is a means to support the nonprofit really at the end of the day. But it all, it's all for connecting and helping people.
So now, what do these kids experience? They come to either one of your events or one of your. How does this work?
Yeah, well, I could tell you about the reverse job fair, and we bring kids in. They do a trifold poster board presentation. We give them an elevator speech template. We give them a career interest inventory and some pages that we call all about me pages, where they can say, these are the 3 jobs I really like. These are the 3 jobs I would never want to do, and here's why. Yeah. And then they kind of customize those poster boards to make them their own. and we bring in employers to make the rounds and talk to these kids about their presentations. They have to do their elevator speech for these companies. They have to talk about what jobs they want, why they want to do them, why they think they'd be good at them. We kind of prep the companies a little bit. They know what they're getting into, so they can kind of not, grill the kids a little bit or encourage the kids a little bit to get them talking about these things.
And then what do you do with suitability of some of the strengths and weaknesses of each one of the kids? You probably have an interest in helping match that to the employer's needs, where they need the strengths and the weaknesses aren't so much of a problem. How do you handle that?
Yeah, well, I tell you one, when I was a kid, my dream job was to play center for the Boston Celtics. I'm I'm like 5'5" at best.
Yeah.
And slow.
Okay.
so this obviously wasn't going to happen. So I think one is my strengths.
I love that.
My strengths weren't there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I can't still love to play basketball.
Right.
Doesn't mean I can't still shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
But
Right.
in terms of where my strengths and weaknesses are, there's things that I'm going to be more suited to do.
Okay.
So I think having those honest conversations with young people is where it starts.
You having those?
Yeah,
or
that's part of what the career interest inventory is really all about, and that's
Okay.
why we pick 3 jobs. That's why I tell kids, my story about not being able to play center.
Right, right.
Because there's just other things.
It's important.
There's other things I'm better at.
Yeah.
And they're going to find there's other things.
And
that they're better at, too.
unrealistic expectations comes into that, probably, right?
Totally. So where are your real strengths? Where are your weaknesses? And there's a bunch of accommodations for people for things that are disability related to. A bunch of problems that can be solved before they're problems.
Okay.
So there's ways to get people the help they need. Like being a person with dyslexia, I needed audio formats for my books and ideally lectures, so I didn't have to struggle to read the text. And those type of things can go a long way for young people as well.
Yeah.
So set realistic expectations. Career interest inventories are huge in helping kids do that, because you start to think about maybe the jobs that they didn't know were out there that they didn't think they could do, but
That's
could.
a good point.
So just thinking about the world out there and what jobs could be possible for them is step one. And then strength and weakness is a big thing. So you combine those 2 things, and then you start to really look at the options that are available to young people individually.
Yeah. And then you're probably building partners with, like you said, schools and also employers. How is that going, and how has that gone?
It's amazing. So our biggest funding base is corporate right now, which we have a lot of great corporate sponsors that back us and believe in what we're doing.
Nice.
And that's a great feeling, and they like to be a part of. It's not about the funding. It's about being a part of these kids' lives and making a difference. So that's been huge. And we're now, I think the next phase of this is going to be to start taking these kids into these companies where they fit and can do good work for these companies. So we're piloting some job placement services this fall. We're really excited about doing that. I mean, we still have a lot to work out. I can't say a whole lot because a whole lot isn't solidified yet, but we will be piloting a program and placing kids in employment this fall, and in some kind of trial work experiences for them.
So you, up until this point, before that job placement next step that you're doing, how have you helped some of these kids not only connect, but you've helped them develop, I think, a little bit, right, toward getting into the workforce and helping, as you said, their life skills?
Totally. When you have to walk, we make them go into a big scary room with some of our programs with a bunch of tables set up that they don't know and have to go introduce themselves and do their elevator speech in front of a bunch of people that they don't know. Okay. That's a life skill.
None of us like that.
Nobody likes that. It's it's awkward, right? But you got to learn how to do it. And the funny thing is, man, I always grab onto the shyer kids because I know by the time they get to that 3rd table, they're just gonna go. All of a sudden, they come out of their shell, and you can see them take that step forward. And you end up kind of having to drag them back into programming. Like you got to stop talking now.
Nice.
You need to go finish
Wow.
up. So you see them grow up and come out of their shell, and you see them actually learn and do that skill. I mean, I personally, man, I have to. I'm not going to learn it till I do it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these kids are the same way.
Okay.
I think the other part of it is presenting things in multiple learning formats. So they write it down. They hear it audio, audioly we tell them, and they have to actually do it.
Okay.
I don't think there's any value if they don't actually do the skill that we're teaching before they leave.
Ah, that's good.
I think that's the meat and potatoes.
See it, hear
right
it,
there.
and do it.
Yep.
Okay, I like
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
they're used to having those conversations with employers or people that they don't know. We give them some interviewing skills; those are some networking skills, and some getting used to having professional conversations.
Yeah. Have you found some of these? Have they become a little successful already? Some of these people that you've dealt with and helping engage them with either employers or just in life, where you've seen life changes yet, or is it too early?
I think it's a little early. We've seen kids learn the skills. The feedback that we get from employers is, yes, I would bring this kid into my company. I would bring this young person in
Yeah.
with some support. So the fact that employers say this is amazing. This is what these kids need. This is what half of my company needs, let alone these kids.
Right.
The feedback has been great. So that's why we feel confident piloting placement, is because companies are saying they want this. They're ready for this.
So what did you do when you said you went to the school and it was 50 kids
Oh, yeah,
and you
that
did the
was-
200? What is that?
That was the
you're
reverse
doing?
job fair.
The
Yeah.
reverse job fair.
Yeah, that was the reverse job fair. We did the trifold poster board presentations, and we brought some companies in.
Okay.
They made the rounds, talked to the kids about their trifolds, and we had lunch and a guest speaker.
Ah, okay.
So companies got to talk to each other a little bit too,
That's
and
good.
a good guest speaker that was kind of just talked about leadership, and gave a good all-around talk for everybody who was there,
I
young
see.
people and grown-ups.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then when you're going into what you're hoping to go into this next big event,
Yeah.
you have two actually big events. You're saying with the job placement, but also this event next spring, right?
Yeah.
Did you say next spring?
Yeah. So this is the next step forward. I mean, we really want to start placing kids and giving them job experiences. The event next spring, I think that's going to be a big one for us too. The idea for that also is we're going to do something inclusive and bring kids with and without disabilities together to kind of advocate for young people
Okay.
together, and then that's going to be the focal point of that programming. We also have our first big fundraiser
Oh, really?
coming up too, and I got to talk about our first big
Absolutely.
fundraiser. It's going to be at Rivers Casino. They've been great to us in giving us their conference room space. So we're going to do what we're referring to as our Wacky Warhol homemade art auction. So I'm asking people, to make the most outrageous, creative, and entertaining piece of art that you can possibly make. We're going to auction these off, and whoever's piece of art makes the most money will give you a prize.
Oh, they'll auction
we're
them
gonna
off.
we're
Oh,
gonna
that's
auction it.
good.
Yeah. So the most wacky thing that you can come up with, we're gonna have a nice dinner, some drinks, and hopefully get some good guest auctioneers and some support from some of the entities and
Yeah.
things going on in the city of Pittsburgh. So we're super excited about that. The early
When
bird
is that?
tickets go on sale June 1st, and that is September 12th.
Okay, so tickets go on sale June 1st.
Yep.
The event's September 12th.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's unique. I like that.
It's gonna
A lot,
be
yeah.
it's gonna be it should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do something that's fun and support a good cause at the same time,
Yeah, that's true. Why not?
why not?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Is there an age group or parameters that you say you're looking to start helping people in, and before that's maybe too young, or what do you
Yeah.
say, or too old, or what do you say?
Yeah, I think our wheelhouse is the back end of high school.
Okay.
Kids that are on the tail end of their high school experience.
Okay.
I think really that, particularly when we start doing the job placement stuff, we want those kids that are a little bit more ready to start heading out to the world. But at the end of the day, our programming, we run programming from really freshmen to seniors,
Okay.
just high school students in general.
Okay. Have you thought anything about postgraduates where people have already been living with their parents and think that's all there is? Is there any hope there?
There is. I think we want to go there. We do, and I think we're planning to make some of those things happen. We're not quite there yet. As a newer agency.
Right. It's very new.
But I think the need is there. I think everybody should be working to their full capability, and I think we need to really focus on that demographic.
Okay.
So things are in the works, gears are turning, planning is
Oh,
happening.
that's nice to hear.
I think by the end of 2020, we should be ready to launch something to reach out to that
Really?
population. Yeah.
Now, how does this for-profit and not-for-profit company, how do they work together? What's the name of the for-profit
Okay,
company?
yeah, so in my quest of networking to build my nonprofit, I found that a lot of networking events, they weren't great. They weren't really conducive to genuinely connecting with other human beings. And I think if you're going to do business with someone, you really kind of want to have a genuine connection with them.
Okay.
It's awkward. Sales pitches, icebreakers are difficult. You're diving into this big sea of humanity and trying to, get to make some genuine connection. It's just difficult.
right,
So
okay.
it started with me wanting to do some networking events that had better backdrops. And so now we're doing things like laser tag networking, game night networking. I really want to do axe throwing networking. That's
I know
gonna
someone
happen.
who just did that. It was a blast. They said it was.
I've heard great things.
So have I.
So we
So have
just
I.
focus on making connections with people first, and then the business stuff will flow after that. You're going to
Okay.
find out who you have, a relationship with, and who you want to have as a viable business associate.
Now that networking, is that business to business, or is that business to consumer, or what are you seeing
I
there?
think, so we've started developing a website that's going to do a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally, we're going to get businesses together that kind of need some support and are looking for services and to work with each other.
Okay.
And my best comparison is like the coupon book.
Yeah.
It'll be an online version of a B2B coupon book.
Okay.
And at the same time, we're going to keep running these networking events to help individuals make connections. And ideally, we have companies that need to make connections. We have individuals that need to make connections, and we can make everybody, give everybody a platform to do that and connect.
Okay.
I think professional development is huge, and people are busy, and there's not enough professional development that's on demand. So the website's going to offer things like, if you want to do a marketing 101 on a Sunday night, you can go on the website and download Marketing 101. If you want to do, social media outreach 101.
Oh, that's good.
We'll put something, leadership skills 101. Things that are there on demand for people who are just really busy and can't do
Yeah.
lunch and learns or can't do
Resources for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, on your time when it works for you, and that's some of the things the website's going to start to offer, and that is called Connect and Effect. That website is Pittsburgh Growth Partnerships. Pittsburgh Growth Partnerships is the name of our website.
Okay.
And that's where you can find all the networking events and get signed up for the services that are coming on the website.
And then how do you see the two connect?
Yeah. So my nonprofit is my baby. It's the best thing ever. And ideally, when we do a networking event, we work with a facility that's going to give a donation to the nonprofit. So we'll bring in a bunch of people to the networking event, and they'll give us like a percentage donation to the nonprofit. Is kind of how that works. I think also they can. I use the for-profit to kind of promote the nonprofit as well, and rope people in. I've networked and ended up with some really good board members from that, and people who are interested in both.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You might be able to generate and sprout similar interests, where I know a lot of corporate America has a social interest in helping people. So I'm sure you're helping direct, and who you get on the for-profit probably on who has similar interests on that nonprofit for the disabilities area, and all working together, right?
Yeah, so I go to a networking event, I meet someone who is interested in I tell them about my reverse job fair.
Right.
And they, hey, how can I get involved in that?
That's nice.
And I steer them in that direction.
That is how it works. I've seen it too. That is exactly, it is that simple. Just getting people together and sharing your message. It's that simple.
It is, absolutely. Just helping people connect in a genuine way. Getting rid of the awkward icebreakers. Let's just have some fun, play a game, or do something, and those connections will happen. The networking events are designed to give people their kind of breakfast club moment.
Right.
Where you kind of bond as a group, and then worry about the business stuff later. I'm also same day as my nonprofit fundraiser, I'm doing a convention at the casino as well. Same day, same place. So I basically have the Rivers Casino from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
The whole upstairs, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And doing networking, I've noticed there's just such a huge lack of diversity in networking events.
Okay.
And I feel like this is something that my for-profit has a platform to address.
Right.
We could bring the community together, and when you look at the responsibility of business owners, one, that's kind of on us to really drive our region forward socially and economically, and the two are very much combined. And I think of, if there's a demographic that I'm not doing business with, I'm literally leaving money on the table for me and them.
Yeah.
Why would I not want to connect and do
Right.
business with these groups of people that I'm missing out on doing business with?
Right.
And I know they feel the same, and how that benefits our region exponentially. I don't think our conference is going to solve all the world's problems, but man, I'm hoping I can at least get people together to say that we acknowledge this.
I think you're right too with connecting people. People do the job. I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to do the whole job. You're the glue. You connect them, right?
It's a great point. If I can bring them together,
Right. Then it takes
it'll
off
happen.
on its own. They take off on their own
Yeah.
with the relationships
Yeah.
you're helping them connect with, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The response that we get has been amazing, and I'll give you an example of that happening. You're so right. So we did a game night networking event, and there was a handful of people left towards the end of the night, and they pulled a couple tables together and just started playing this game called Cards Against Humanity together. Which at that point is a terrible idea if you've ever seen this game. But
I haven't.
But they said, like, we're hanging out because these are the people that I've connected with tonight. We're going to stay.
Similar
we're going to hang
interests,
out.
a
Similar
bond
interests,
a little bit. That's
these are
nice.
people that we have personal and professional connections with each other. And the response the next day, I got some
Yeah.
emails saying this was great. These are some of the best connections I've made at a networking event. We also had people that had done, this was like their first or second networking event. We had this young lady that literally walked into a networking event and walked out. She said, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But she was there all night from the beginning to Cards Against Humanity at
Is
our
that right?
event. And she responded like saying, this was so much easier for me to connect with people and meet people and get some business leads
Yeah.
than the standard networking
That's
events.
perfect.
So yeah, it is about just giving people a catalyst by which to get to know each other.
What, as we wrap up here, do we help people, parents with kids with disabilities or the kids with disabilities? What do we tell them now? And what do we share with them now on, we didn't know help was available, or we're already getting help, but there might be additional resources that you now have. What do we tell them on how to help get them involved in what you're doing?
I think for parents, it's all about parent education, which is another thing that we want to do. I think some schools do a better job of it than others, but there's some great parent advocacy groups in the city of Pittsburgh. Find them. Be able to walk into your child's IEP meeting when they're sophomore, junior in high school, and have them tell the school what they want for their IEP.
Okay.
Help prepare your child to help prepare the school to make their future what it needs to be for them.
Is it
individually.
also possible, because they might not have the confidence to do that or the ability
Yeah.
to do that, for them to reach out to you and say, here's my district, and do you
Yes.
have any contacts, or do you know who we can contact, or are there
Yes.
other people already involved, or how, can
Absolutely.
they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd be happy to work with the district to go in there and run programming and make things happen. Absolutely.
Okay. So again, how do they
yeah.
contact you?
The website is probably the best way.
Okay.
The PAYouthInitiative.com. Or
What was that?
PAYouthInitiative.com.
Okay.
Or just you can email us at PennsylvaniaYouthInitiative.com is the email. Just PennsylvaniaYouthInitiative.com at Gmail. Just all
Okay.
spelled out in one long thing.
Okay.
And again, I'm on LinkedIn. I make myself as available as humanly possible. So if there's
Okay.
any way that I can help any parents out there, any schools out there, any communities out there, get a hold of me. We'll figure something out.
And that's Poncho Timmons on there on the LinkedIn and all? Is that just
Yep.
what they look up?
Yep.
Okay. Timmons. Very good. Well, Poncho, I appreciate your coming in and sharing your message. I really do.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here, and hopefully it's useful to folks out there.
I'm sure it will be. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another edition of Helping Hands, and we'll be back again next week.